Hello, Brad here. Just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. It's Friday, it's 5pm, and this week we're gonna go hard in with a plug, aren't we, Bradley?
Mate, we have to plug with this. If ever there was a plug to be plugged, it's this. We love this brewery. How much do we love this brewery, Johnny? How much, mate?
More than pretty much any other brewery.
I mean, they are. I would call them the daddy potentially. They are called the something, but I think they are the London daddy of craft.
Yeah, well, I think I've had to wrestle my way around this lyrically many times, but I do think that they are the grandfathers, the OGs, the slightly sexual daddy, as Brad calls it, of modern craft beer. So yes, there was Dark Star, there was Thornbridge, there was Meantime beforehand, but Colonel set up in a railway arch.
Yes.
And we're obsessed with IPA, and those are two things that have come to dominate modern British craft beer. So I think they're the leading lights that everyone follows.
Yeah, I mean, I like how sort of staunchly, what was the word I was trying to say? They kind of remained their own thing, and they haven't ever been swayed by trends or anything like that. Like, they've always had a table beer. They will always have a table beer. Before anyone really knew what a table beer was, they were selling big bottles of it, and that's sort of do kind of like unfashionable styles as well as like amazingly
or historical styles is
historical styles.
Probably
that's
the word they'd
say,
use.
Johnny. Yeah. But what I meant to say is they are innovators, but they're not sort of bandwagonists, right? So they're not sort of jumping on latest trends and stuff. I feel like they've got the kind of mindset of a brewery that's been around for like a couple of 100 years, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting way of putting it. I bet if we spoke to Evan, he would say, we're not going to change this recipe or stop doing this because it doesn't really belong to us anymore. It's Colonel beer, it's the people's beer,
exactly.
And we're going to keep making it because we love it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So we've got when is the live show coming up?
So, yeah, we even said it's a live show. This hard plug in which all we've done is talk about...
We're terrible at plugging, Johnny. This is why we're so bad
true.
at business. Oh, my God.
It is true. Yes, so the 27th of April is the date of the live show. It starts at, I think it's 7:30 p.m.
Yeah.
On our YouTube channel, and you can get the box, unusually for us, from Bruiser, which is an online subscription platform, an amazing beer subscription box. You can cancel at any time, which is arguably not true of all of them. But basically their whole business model is that they curate, along with the breweries, some wonderful boxes every month, and you can select which brewery you want to receive, and they will send it to you direct from the brewery. So it's a different model, and it's not like you get 8 beers every time. You'll get a certain value of beer, so it could be 4 absolute whales, or it could be 8 fridge fillers, depending on the brewery and the time of year and all of that. Colonel have been with them pretty much since the start, and yeah, we are jumping on that bandwagon, doing what Colonel wouldn't do. So we've teamed up with Bruiser, and you can get that case at the link below, and if you use the code CBC8, you will get £8 off your first case, and we'll get a little kickback as well. It is an affiliate code. Is that marketing? I don't know.
Oh yeah, I don't know. £8 off a box. That's great.
£8 off your first box.
I mean, what would you do with that £8 you had off, Johnny?
I'd buy more beer.
Buy more beer. Yeah, I guess that's not a bad
I'd buy
shout.
1 pint or 2 cans.
I'm trying to think how many packets of Frazzles I could buy for £8. I think you get 6
lots.
Frazzles in a packet, and they're about £1 a packet. So you could
What?
buy.
What?
Yeah.
Si-
About £1. Yeah.
Oh, you mean 6 small packs of Frazzles in a big Frazzles pack? Or you mean
Yeah.
6 individual...
Sorry,
if I opened a pack of Frazzles with
Yeah,
6
yeah.
Frazzles in it, I'd be livid.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about. That's like bacon fry territory where you only get a few in a packet, but they are delicious.
Yeah,
and
you only need a few bacon
greasy.
fries because
So greasy.
yeah.
No, I could buy. I can't do the math, Johnny, but 6 times 8 is that 56? I can't add up. That's not 56, is it? I could buy 6 times 8 packets of Frazzles, Johnny, with that money left over. Bloody hell!
Yeah, you could.
What a hard sell we're doing here. This is great, isn't it?
So yeah, buy the box and then buy some Frazzles. So yeah, link below to join us for that. If you haven't done one of our live shows, they're enormous fun. We'll be interviewing hopefully Evan of the Colonel and some other interesting people from the brewery, and having a lovely time with it. I'm very, very excited about this one because also, not many people have interviewed Colonel or written about Colonel because they don't really put themselves out there. So you have to really go to them. And as a result, most beer journalists are pretty lazy, I've learned. So there's lots of stories that haven't been told, even though the Colonel probably feel like they tell them all the time. So it's going to be a great session with varied beer, delicious beer, and some stories of early British craft, which is always exciting.
Amazing. When we featured the Colonel in our book, the best pubs and breweries in London.
Wasn't called that.
Wasn't called that at all.
The London Craft Beer Guide. Come on, Bradley.
Yeah. No.
Our plugging just gets better.
Better and better. Still available to buy in good bookshops and bad ones and online. Evan used to work in cheese, right? So he's massively into cheese as well. So it would be great to get sort of a cheese suggestion, maybe for the live show, and then maybe people could spend that £8 on
thinking outside the beer box, Bradley.
Some creamy, delicious, funky cheese.
Let's do it. I'm gonna have a think about this over the next week or so.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what the beers are yet. We're hoping to find out very soon. But I'll come up with some cheese matches. Maybe I'll email Evan and see what he thinks. And we could suggest cheeses to go with it and see if people then support their local cheesemongers.
Nice.
And
That's it.
Get some delicious cheese.
It's all about sharing the love, isn't it, Johnny?
Yeah, it's not going to be Cathedral City, I'll tell you that now. We're going indie. We're going
indie.
Niche.
Nice,
we're going stinky.
Nice. Stinky.
Yeah.
Stinky, guys. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Johnny.
Okay, plug over. That's a third
over.
of the podcast gone on that plug.
Wow.
Beer of the week time. This desperate attempt to add some kind of structure to this podcast. I'm going to go first because I know that I know what your beer of the week is going to be, and B, you've got probably a lot of story. Oh God, are you gonna throw a curveball?
I might do.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, my beer of the week is not really a curveball. It's a Thornbridge beer. So this week I enjoyed an absolutely stunning can of Celiche. Celiche? I think Celiche. Which is a Thornbridge and Pomona Island collaboration. It was an Italian-style Pilsner.
Lovely. We've made a video about those.
We have. So if you don't know what that is, go watch that. But it was absolutely stunning. Italian Pilsners are basically dry hopped. Originally Czech-style Pilsners, but everybody seems to be making German-style ones with them. And this one had Hallertau tradition and Mittelfrüh in it to an absurd degree. And they said it would give us lemon and pineapple. I thought it was lemon and melon.
Lemon and melon.
That's what I got from those hops, and it was about as crispy as a beer can get. It was just they called it devastatingly crisp, and that's about right. I looked up ceviche thinking it would be something along those lines of devastatingly crisp or pineapple or lemon. Apparently, it's Italian for a willow tree.
Okay, so like bendy.
Yeah. I'm not really sure what the link is. Now looking at the can, that might be a willow tree on there as well. Maybe. Don't know, but a delicious beer. It's still in stock on their web shop. You should go buy it. Come on then, Bradley. How was Dublin?
Oh, mate, Dublin. Look, I've never been to Ireland before. Obviously, I claim to be part Irish on a regular basis. So I thought it was absolutely shit hot, Johnny. It was incredible. Had the best time. I was there literally. I flew out Tuesday morning with my lovely girlfriend, and then we came back Wednesday evening. So we weren't even there for 48 hours, but my God, did we pack it in, Johnny.
It feels like, did you do anything but go to pubs?
Oh, dude, I ate some of the best food I've eaten in a while.
What did you have?
So I went to this taco place, because I love tacos, called Casa, and we had El Pastor pork tacos. I've never had anything El Pastor before. Do you know what that is? Have you experienced this as a style? So basically, it looks a little bit like a kebab, like an elephant leg type thing, but it's obviously much nicer marinated meat, and this was pork shoulder. So lots of thin slices.
Are we just going to brush over the dismissal of the entire Turkish cuisine there?
No, sorry, I didn't mean that in a bad way. I wasn't being derogatory. I was just sort of saying it's a similar style of serving. And I do love a good kebab. So anyway, lots of pork shoulder, heavily marinated, and then they shove a pineapple on top, and then they somehow cook this thing and slice it off very thinly, and it's sort of dry, but it's got this like amazing, rich, complex flavour. And we had already eaten that day quite a lot of food, but we went in because it was on my list of places I wanted to hit, and we were quite sensible. We were like, we'll get a chorizo quesadilla, and we'll just get some of these little guys to share these little tacos. So they came out, and we put some lime on the top and took a bite each, and then just looked at each other and instantly knew we were going to have to get some more, because this was like some of the tastiest things I've eaten in maybe a year or more. Wow. So they came back, everything all right, guys? We were like, yeah, can we get some more of these? They're amazing. And then we stayed in there for quite a while, and they were about to close the kitchen. They came back, and we got some more, Johnny. We got some more, and I wasn't even hungry. It was just gluttonous at this point, because it was just incredible. It was just too good, mate. It was too good. So that was amazing. And I drank some Whiplash beer alongside that, which was also very, very nice. You were asking me about my beer of the week. I'm going to have to probably say Guinness, although I did have some great offerings from Whiplash.
Tell me about them. What were your favourites?
I very much enjoyed Close to Paradise, which was just like India Pale Ale. I went to Fidelity, which is I've described it, I did post on Instagram, described it as like a Japanese listening bar, having never been to a Japanese listening bar. But I've got a friend, I've got a friend, Jim, who's travelled extensively in Japan, and told me that he wanted to open a Japanese listening bar in the UK, and then describe what it was. And it's basically this. So it has a sort of very opulent small bar kind of feel to it. Big plush leather banquettes they had, but it could be very, very comfortable seats that you would want to sit down in for a long time. Things that you can really sink into. Low lighting, Johnny. Very much mood lighting in a listening bar. And
because you're not there, it's not a seeing bar, is it?
It's not a seeing bar. It's almost like it's a hard to seeing bar. Because it's all about indulging the other senses. So you're drinking or you're eating something amazing, and you're just letting the sound wash over you. And Fidelity had this incredible sound system. Just looked beautiful, sounded real nice. And we just sat in there. It was actually quite a miserable walk to it, because it was blowing a gale, and we'd been out all day. We went back to the hotel to change what we were wearing, and then it was one of those things where your partner says to you, don't lie on the bed, otherwise you won't get up. And I kind of did that, And then I just went, oh, just 10 more minutes and then I'll get up, that kind of thing. We looked out the window. It's absolutely pissing it down with rain. But we thought, we've got to go. We've got to give it a go. I got so many recommendations from the Instagram post, people saying, go to Fidelity. Had to do it, Johnny. And my God, that walk there was about 20 minutes of brutal, just like being in a shower. Walking along the banks of the River Effie, and blowing an absolute gale, and it was quite late at night. We sneaked in there for about just over an hour, I think, and probably had 2 beers, and then made an exit as they were closing, and decided very sensibly to get a cab back. But my God, that was a great experience.
You haven't told me what was playing through the speakers.
So they were
what
playing.
Were you listening to?
It was like traditional Irish folk music.
Oh wow!
Which was amazing. Yeah, I couldn't tell you who the artists were, but it sounded like quite rustic recordings. Maybe some of them were quite old, but they had a rich sort of vinyl warmth to the audio, to the recordings, you know. So it was really sort of quite an experience. I don't think they necessarily play that kind of music all the time. I imagine they might play some nice jazz, you know. It'd be great on that sort of sound system. I'm guessing probably not a lot of heavy metal, but who knows. But it was beautiful. So that was one of my beer highlights. And then obviously I was only there for less than 2 days, but we did hit up a bunch of the most legendary Guinness pubs. So we went to Mulligan's, fresh off the bus, which I think might have been my favourite. It was totally empty when we went in there, and we just sat talking to. I think he might have been the publican, but he was certainly the barman. He was so friendly, as every barman was that I sort of had the pleasure of talking to out there. Just a charming man who didn't actually like Guinness, which I found interesting, and didn't drink alcohol. He drank Coca-Cola, and he was telling me how much it cost him to drink a pint of Coca-Cola in Ireland, which was shocking. It was like €7 or something, because he liked to drink the little glass bottles and then top it up into a pint, which I thought was quite niche. But there you go. Each to their own.
Well, okay. So I was about to say, so Coke's expensive in Ireland. No, he's got expensive tastes in Coke.
Oh yeah. And we were sat there for a little while, just watching the day go by, watching the people come in, and I watched this old boy come in, who had a full sort of 3-piece suit on, a Mac, a hat, immaculately dressed. I was like, this guy is an interesting character. He sort of shuffled in quite slowly, straight over to the bar. And I clocked in his hands, he had 2 plastic bottles of Coca-Cola, which he plonked on the bar and then gave them. The barman came over and he gave them to the barman. So it's obviously like
plastic bottles.
Plastic bottles, I know, plastic bottles.
A cursed gift.
A cursed,
for the man who only drinks from glass.
Nobody likes drinking Coke out of a plastic bottle. It's a very subpar Coke experience. But yeah, I was like, this is obviously an offering. This must be a regular occurrence. And then he's just asked for like a water. So I don't know whether he was drinking. Maybe he had his own little hip flask. That's what I'm telling myself, Johnny.
No, I reckon he'd had a very heavy night in that pub the night before. Embarrassed himself. The Coke was a peace offering, and the water was because he was hungover.
Could be. He must have been 75, 80 years old. This fella.
Just tearing it up. Tearing Dublin up on a Tuesday night, Monday night.
Mate, that Mulligan's was insanely good. We went to Mulligan's, we went to Palace Bar, which was just beautiful. It's got the stained glass ceiling, which is incredible. We went to Beau's Bar, which is another very well-respected little joint. That was small, but kind of charming and had a warmth to it. We managed to fit in Palace Bar and Beau's Bar. They were on the same strip, and we fitted those in. Well, we had our bags on, and we were walking to get our bus back to the airport. We just had 2 sneaky pints. My girlfriend Kirsty had said she reckons she didn't like Guinness, right? So the last time she had Guinness was maybe 20 years ago, and the last pint was going to be Palace Bar. So she had whatever, some sort of lager, and I had a Guinness, and she went, "Oh, go on, give us a try of your Guinness." I haven't tried it in 20 years. Tried it. It was an excellent pint of Guinness, Johnny, I might add. And she went, "Oh, this is lovely. I don't know what I've been worried about. I actually love this." So,
so her last pint in Ireland was her deciding.
Yeah,
actually,
she
Guinness
loves
is
Guinness. Yes, crazy, right?
Man, that's galling.
Yeah. So
Galway.
I say,
No.
Galway. Oof, Galway. So then at that point, I said, right, drink up really fast, and we are going to go to Beau's Bar, and we're going to get a half, and then we're going to get on our bus. So she managed to have a half to herself in one of the best places, which was great. So we went there as well. The Hairy Lemon, which has got a silly name, but it's actually an amazing. I know, it's totally stupid. Amazing sprawling pub with an Irish band were playing. Apparently, most pubs in this sort of temple bar bit have Irish bands playing. This was sort of like early evening, Johnny. It wasn't even the evening's entertainment. It was beautiful, haunting vocals from the lady singer. Yeah, it was great. And I did poke my head in. Oh, sorry, went to Devitt's as well on Camden Street. Another sort of very much respected place. I think maybe one of the most beautiful looking in a sort of saloon style bar. Very sort of decadent Victorian tiles and all kinds of stuff going on. Great presentation. There was towards the back was a sort of saloony bar bit with beautiful toilet entrances, rounded tops to the doors on them, Johnny, and sort of built-in cabinetry, like 12 feet high cabinetry with little glass doors, like a haberdasher's store, but each door had a different bottle of whiskey in it, and I was like, that's pretty cool. They're obviously really choice whiskies. They're all lit up in little haberdashery-looking drawers that you could pull out and order a wee dram. So I love that place. That was great. Did poke my head in Grogan's, but we didn't have enough time to go in there. And then I think that was about it. I went to a place called Mary's Bar and Hardware, which I did put a little video up, which I've subsequently turned out is quite a sort of maybe like a tourist trap. It felt authentic-y to me-ish. I've got an Irish friend who's described growing up in a village where, you know, a corner shop would sell all kinds of stuff, but it's also like a pub as well. So the kind of premise of that place is it's maybe like a bit of a theme pub, but you could literally buy a can of WD-40 and a pint of Guinness, which I found.
Don't mix them up.
I found deeply entertaining. Yeah, so that was
it is
great.
Your two interests, really, isn't it? It was
Yeah,
beer
yeah,
and DIY.
DIY, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I saw a double rainbow, Johnny. Double rainbow.
Oh my God! In Ireland.
Double rainbow in Ireland. I could see both ends of it. We went to this place called Sophie's Rooftop Bar and Restaurant for our breakfast on our one and only morning we were there, and we had really amazing French toast, maple syrup, bacon, and we were sat there. It went from incredible sunshine through to sort of torrential rain, and then in between all of that, I like sort of rolling fog coming through as well. In between all of that, a double rainbow where I could see both sides of the rainbow. It was spectacular. I've never seen a double rainbow before, Johnny.
I just can't believe that you've gone to Ireland and seen a double rainbow. Like,
I know, man.
One of the great cliches of I was about to say Irish culture. I don't think it's Irish culture. It's what everyone else thinks. There you go. It sounds like you've had a magical time.
Oh, it's fantastic. We will go with the channel. You are going on a book research trip, but I insist we go back because do you know what? There's the pubs over there. They're a different level to pubs over here, or most pubs I've been to around the world. They're so welcoming. They're so engrossing when you're in them. It's just takes you away from the world outside. It's amazing.
It was a question I was harboring ready for the end of the story, which is, do you think that, because, London, if you ask people from outside of the UK about the pubs in London, they think London pubs are like the greatest thing that's ever existed. And also, when we were doing our pub crawl tour videos with Shortlist, we went to a bunch of pubs that we would never have stepped in and been like, holy crap. Yeah. Like, these places are incredible, and we don't walk into them because, maybe what's on tap isn't what we're looking for. Do you think that we miss out on a lot of certainly the great architecture and the great service by going to the same sorts of pubs the whole time?
Definitely, mate. There's an Instagram called London Pub Explorer, where your man goes around all these historic pubs.
We've had him on the pod, Brad.
Yeah. Well, I haven't had him on the pod, but you've had him on the pod. And there's a whole. I mean, I just had a look. There's 772 pubs in Dublin, apparently, which is insane. I don't know how many pubs are in London. I don't know if you can pull that stat out of your butt, but it certainly feels like there's probably a lot.
4,000 or 5,000 pubs in London, I think.
No way, seriously? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
mate.
You could probably, like London Pub Explorer, you could probably go to a different pub every other day of the week for a couple of years. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was thinking every day.
Every day, yeah.
If you went every day, it would take you 2 years to go to them all. Yeah.
I thought that was insanity, which is why I said every other day. But yeah, I mean, it's I think I might have talked about this before, but I met a guy. This is not actually a good pub story necessarily, but I met a guy called DJ Derek, who was a legendary octogenarian DJ that used to play lots of reggae and blue beat and all this kind of like Jamaican music in Bristol. He was a granddad. He's called DJ Derek, and I used to see him when I had a girlfriend in Bristol 20 years ago, and he'd get the National Express bus, and I got talking to him a couple of times. He had a little suitcase with him, which I asked him what was in his suitcase one time, and he said it's full of mini discs, and he showed me, and he'd recorded his entire 45 vinyl collection onto mini disc. Because he was old and frail, he could carry that around, whereas he couldn't carry crates of vinyl around anymore. But his mission in life, apart from being the coolest granddad in the world, was to obviously play amazing Jamaican music. But also he'd visited this is not good. This is the not good bit. He'd visited every Wetherspoons in the country, Johnny, and he'd been on every National Express route in the country. And I thought, you know what? When you get old,
sounds like a Divine Comedy song. Well, the National Express definitely is, but also every Wetherspoons in England. Yeah,
but it's great, isn't it, to have things like that achievements that you can go, well, I've done them, ticked them off, mate. I guess it's when you retire. Although he wasn't, I guess he technically wasn't retired. He was still DJing. It's good to have goals like that. I think something that seems insurmountable, but if you persist. Like going on every single bus route. Every single.
But why? Why? Most of them will be motorways.
It's like
what's the achievement?
I guess to facilitate him going to every single Wetherspoons. That'd be my guess.
I mean, again, I'd probably ask why, because it's the same food and the same beer at every one.
I mean, I'd 100% ask why on that note. But I just thought, what a brilliant sort of thing to sort of just go. It gives you something to live for, right? This sounds really depressing. I don't know why I'm saying it like that, but I just think it's interesting.
What's this got to do with?
I don't know, Johnny.
Anything?
I've totally lost the plot, mate. I don't know. This week's video, Johnny. This week's video.
Yeah. Who needs a segue? This week's video was not intentionally turned into an exploration of a very historic brewery that has seen better days. But It was originally just an invite from Crossover going like, oh, do you want to come and see a spontaneous brew? Want to see us feel the cool ships and we'll have a chat. But, I walked into the Elgoods brewery and I was like, well, this is a story that should be told to some extent. I mean, it is an incredibly historic place. It's 230 years old. Feels partly like a museum that hasn't seen a guest for a century, but
Yeah.
also still produces fabulous beer and has just the most incredible, I think mostly Victorian equipment in it.
Yeah, he said Edwardian as well at one point, right?
Georgian.
Georgian, not
So
Edwardian.
it was founded in Georgian times,
Yes,
1795. And then most of the equipment dates, I think, from the late 19th century and a little bit from the early 20th.
So it wasn't a tower brewery, like an authentic tower brewery as such. They had like additions and stuff.
Well, so it wasn't a tower brewery at all.
At all, no.
Because you'd need more floors. He's only got 2 floors.
I thought
so
he
there's
said
a
there
bit
was
of gravity
a
at play.
1950s edition or something. I seem to remember him.
We're in the
saying, but I wasn't
1950s extension, yeah.
Right. Okay,
But I mean,
yeah,
all of these tower breweries have extensions. You know, Hooky
Yeah.
and St Austell and Harvey's, because they've grown or bits have become not that functional anymore.
Yeah,
But obviously, a lot of them are listed, so they can't knock them down or do too much to them. But yeah, I mean, there's so much that ended up on the cutting room floor because obviously I still wanted it to be the story of Crossover and their spontaneous blend, and I'm not quite sure. Like, we've got so much content left over from Adnams, so much content left over from Elgoods, and I wonder if slowly we're building up some kind of amazing little documentary of like the UK's most historic breweries or something.
Mm-hmm.
If we could find a narrative to stitch them all together.
What you mean, like keep Cask alive?
Well,
No,
Keep
yeah, I
Cask
get what
Alive
you're
is
saying.
the
Like an
future and the history,
Yeah,
whereas
yeah,
like
yeah,
one
yeah.
that just sort of said, these are the historic breweries we need to protect. It'd be
Yeah,
great
yeah,
to
yeah.
go to, because we've got the Hooky stuff, we've got Elgoods, we've got Adnams, we could go to Harvey's, we could go to. I don't think Timothy Taylor's is all that old, but it is pretty old. And try and tell a story of, where cask culture came from, I guess,
Yeah.
and why it's still pervasive in the UK, because it was all over the world, but it's the UK that's really held on to it, and why that is, I guess.
I think potentially it could be a valuable resource that future generations, let's hope not, but might look back on when some of these things are gone. Hopefully they won't be gone, but and go, look at that, wasn't that great?
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting thing that I've started wrestling with when editing and when including or not including things, is that we sort of forget, because YouTube feels transient, that these videos hopefully will be online long after we're gone. And,
Wow.
Historians in 100 years' time will be watching these things as resources. So shit that we say has to be correct, because otherwise we'll end up in the position where, like IPA has all these wrong assumptions made about it and stuff.
Imagine that if we are on whatever sort of future brain interface thing where they're teaching the younglings, the foundlings, about ancient culture.
Yeah.
On
And there's yours of my face, gurning away drunk on YouTube, telling them history.
This was a building, younglings. Humanoids used to live in them. They used to.
This is what a humanoid looks like, and it's Brad, and they're like, okay.
Holy shit! Look at how hairy he is. Wow, that's crazy. Deep into the future, I'm talking about, Johnny.
Yeah.
Maybe when we're star beings and we're kind of interstellar and.
I thought we'd be heads in jars still doing this podcast.
Oh, hopefully. I don't think I want to be a head in a jar doing a podcast. That sounds
Not even
that
with me.
sounds, I mean, that sounds great with you, buddy, but that also sounds like no rest ever. Like, who's in control of the jar? They could really torture you, right? They could put you in places that you don't want to be, or with noises. And
I haven't really thought about that element of being a head in a jar.
Imagine if they locked you in a dark cupboard for 10 years. You'd go insane. What if you needed to scratch your nose, Johnny?
Well, I don't think you really have a central nervous system if you're just a head. So there's a question. If you're a head in a jar, do you get itches?
You do, definitely.
Or do you get like phantom limb syndrome, but for your entire body?
That would be horrible, wouldn't it? Yeah. It would be horrible.
Yeah, this has gone to a dark place.
It
Should we look at some comments?
Yeah, go on then. By the way, Johnny, I just want to say I couldn't make it to that shoot day because it was ridiculously early in the morning, and I think you only got it scheduled in like a couple of days before.
Oh, it's so last minute, yeah.
But I just want to say before we go into comments, the slow-mo footage and just the general coverage you got was great. So congratulations on
Thanks, man.
filming such a beautiful brewery. I thought it was.
Y-
I love
it's-
the
it's-
sort of bell jar bit where it opens up and all the steam comes out, and obviously the. Well, anyway, we'll get into it. But
yeah. I mean, I just want to on that. So he warned me when he opened up the copper that it would get very steamy, and I was like, "That's cool. I think it's going to look real nice." And he was
Yeah.
like, "But it is going to get you." And I was like,
Oh.
"How hot is it?" And he's like, "It's going to be very, very hot."
Oh,
I was like, "Dangerously hot?" And he was like, "If you're stood there, probably not." So he opened that, and it was a bit intense, but it was all right. But then, like 10 minutes later, not 10 minutes later, 4 hours later, when the boil finished, and all of the work was going into the hot back, which is like this small swimming pool just before the cool ship. And there's a little window that you can look in. And so I had the camera in there, and I was filming the beer coming in. It's that shot where it sort of comes in through a funnel and bounces off a dish to start the aeration. I filmed that in slow-mo and then got out of the way. He closed it up. And then I was stood by that entrance to the hot back, that window to the hot back, just chatting away to Charlie. And like a couple of minutes later, he just comes and just dodges the steam himself and just opens it straight on me.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
Was Alan? Was it?
yeah.
Oh man!
So
Alan,
I got the mother of all steam facials.
did it make
So
your
my
hair go
skin is
frizzy?
just beautiful. What hair? And it's short because it was frizzy.
Yeah.
It was warm.
Warm, eh?
And shout out to Sony because the camera survived that incident, and indeed just being in that room with the cool ship for an hour because it
Nice.
was moist.
Shout out Sony heads
Shout
out
out to
there.
Sony.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, thank you for the kind words about the filming. It was the benefit of A, being in a beautiful place, and B, having 4 hours to get the boil footage, 2 hours to get the cooling footage. You know, you've got time to think things through.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I loved it. I was, it's one of those shoots where I was like, man, I wish, and this must be what it's like being a viewer as well, but I was like, man, I wish I was there doing that. That looks incredible.
It was a lovely day,
Yeah.
but an early start.
Very early start.
Yeah, hit me with your favourite comments.
So Jim Foster said the slow-mo of that first sprayer coughing to life was a magical shot. You not only tell the story of beer, but you guys also make it beautiful. Keep it up.
Oh, wow.
I was like, that's
You're
nice.
beautiful.
Jim,
forgotten his
Jim
name.
Foster. Jim Foster.
Jim. You're beautiful, Jim.
Yeah. I love that one. Loads of love for the cool ship shots. Aaron Lundborg. Those cool ship shots were beautiful. Great video as always.
You're just going for the complimentary ones then?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
Derek Elsey. Great video, guys. When these old breweries are on the brink of becoming nothing, every old brewery should be listed. It's our history. I think he's got a point there, right? I think he's really got a point. Why are these things like it was when we went up to Burton? I felt like that place had been steamrolled.
Quite literally.
Like
I was horrified by what has happened to Burton. Like the town planning, people should be in jail for the fact that one of the central hubs of industry for the UK, and there's not a lot of evidence of it left. Most of it was in the bloody museum. Which is great. It was rescued, but
it's like a Beetlejuice miniature of what it used to look like, on like a massive scale model, like something out of Beetlejuice. Of it just made me sad in that museum, which is now closed. But like, how was none of that listed? It's insane. Like I was like last night, I went to watch some jazz, some live jazz, Johnny, with my friend Ben, and we went to Woolwich Arsenal. In the old sort of, it's actually, I think it was a fireworks factory. One of the custodians was telling me, but that's obviously where a lot of the sort of military hardware was manufactured and stored. A lot of the explosive stuff was out by the river. They moved out of central London because it was dangerous. But this was an incredible venue, Johnny. It's all got to be listed. And it just made me think, why, like that is, that's been listed, and it's amazing. And now it's transformed. Okay, it's not in its original purpose anymore, but it's a community space still. And I'm not saying we should list these breweries and then, because they're not functional as a brewery anymore, we should turn them into community spaces. But we should be bloody listing them for sure. Just stop people, opportunists, turning them into blocks of flats and whatever. It should be listed.
Or even if you are going to have to turn them into blocks of flats because people need somewhere to live, list them so that the works protect, the origins and the history of that space and of that architecture.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Which
it's shocking.
It just seems like Burton was just razed to the ground, most of it.
Unbelievable.
And in fact, Miller Coors, the office there, I talk about this in my book, actually, that's coming out for Father's Day next year, is just the most ugly 60s red brick office now. And it was the original site where the first IPA was brewed in Burton. And it's some conifer trees, a mini gatehouse, and then 60s. Anyway,
sad.
Yes, they should all be listed. I've got some comments for you.
Go on, hit me.
I'm going to start with a nice one from Christopher Shooter, who says, it broke my heart listening to the Friday 5pm podcast when Brad said you could have Owen on instead of me, as if he thinks he's someone Johnny has on.
Oh.
Let Brad know he's an equal and we all love him. And I got 25 likes and 7 replies, Bradley.
Oh, wow. I did see
you
all
are
that.
this podcast. What is this podcast without you?
I don't know. We'll have moments of self-doubt, don't we? I've never claimed to be a beer expert. I just love the culture, and I'm just very happy to sort of be on this journey together with you, and it brings joy to my life. We're heading off to foreign shores again on Monday. It's just like this bullet point to my life with really lovely little sort of interactions with great people or visits to interesting places, and obviously drinking some of the most delicious liquids that humanoids have to offer in the year 2023.
It's true. So yeah, we are off to the Czech Republic. We should let people know we're going to be making a film with Budvar.
Yeah.
And doing it's a book research trip with an additional film, which is so we're gonna. I think we'll try and film as much of the book research as well, because we're going to be doing some interesting stuff and chatting to some interesting people. So there should be lots of lovely footage coming from that. Yeah. I have got another comment.
Go on.
Which comes from Adam Phillips, who says, "What a place! I think I'd rather take a tour of historic brewery like Elgoods than some of the more modern craft breweries. Really great to see people keeping traditional places going." I'd much rather tour Elgoods. If you learn one thing doing a YouTube channel for 10 years about beer, it's that modern breweries look the same. Sometimes they're a little bit striking, like, say, the Track Tap Room or something like that. But, modern breweries, the appeal is the excitement of the beer and sometimes the people. But I would much rather be walking around Elgoods, Adnams, Hooky. These places just drip with history, feel significant in a way that most railway arches never will. And if you are a beer geek, I obviously highly recommend going to modern tap rooms. But if you're going to do a brewery tour, go to one of the old ones, because the stuff you'll learn, the things you'll see, are just magical.
100%,
and possibly even better than what we put across on YouTube, just not in slow mo.
Yeah, slow mo makes everything better, though.
It does, pretty much.
Mate, I really want to drink some Elgoods beer, and I really want to visit now. I don't know if that's open. Do they do brewery tours? It doesn't look like a place that does brewery tours.
I don't think they do. Probably be some health and safety implications, but they are. So, I mean, I must apologize. I didn't want to make it sound like Elgoods were going out of business. They're just a lot smaller than they used to be, and so are many cask ale breweries. But they are diversifying, so you can now get married there. They've got like a wedding venue, not part of the main building. The gardens are incredible. So they sort of inherited a lovely sort of sculptured garden. So there are places you can go around Elgoods, and the pub that we went to, the Red Lion, which is about less than a 5-minute walk, was absolutely amazing. Amazing, to quote the pub side, it'd be like home-cooked food, which is kind of a nonsense. It's like, it's not cooked at home, it's cooked in a bloody pub. But what they mean is it was all cooked from scratch, and it was delicious, and I had an amazing BLT. And delicious pint. So, it's a nice historic place to visit, even if they're not doing proper brewery tours. Wisbeach is, has also, I think, gone to seed a little bit. But it's a stunning town. It's sort of almost Amsterdam-like in that it's all on the River Nene and like these big, tall buildings along the river. It's quite a remarkable sort of place, sort of beautiful in both its decline and its historic beauty.
Lovely. Is it Nene or Nene? As Alan was saying, it's pronounced by different people in different ways, right?
What did he say? It was a certain county, maybe Northamptonshire, that called
it
it
Northampton.
Nene.
He said Nene.
Yeah,
which is
or
interesting.
Nen. Yeah,
Nen. Yeah.
Don't know. Definitely Nene. Anyway, Brad, this has been a bumper episode. We're at 45 minutes. What are we doing with our lives? So we're going to call it quits there. All I'm going to say is don't forget to buy your Colonel case from Bruiser for our live show on the 27th of April. Next week, our video is a blind taste testing of more best bitters in bottle than I could even count right now. I'm going to be filming that after this podcast.
Johnny, if you don't call it best of the best, I'm going to be very upset.
Oh, it's not very good SEO, but maybe I'll use that line in the video. Nice. So that's coming out next week. We will be in the Czech Republic, so we probably won't promote it very well. So you'll have to go hunt it down. But that will be out at 4 p.m. on Wednesday as ever, and we'll desperately try to squeeze in a pod as we nurse our Budvar hangovers on Thursday and Friday.
Oh dear.
So until then. It's love and beer from me, and it's
love and beer from me.
The Bubble and Friday 5pm podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's craft beer channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/the craft beer channel. And if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food, and homebrewing. Love and beer.